There's a teacher I heard about. She worked with primary school children in Bulawayo who had one practice she used at the start of every art lesson. She would put a single object in the center of a room, a stone or a piece of bark or a bent nail, just random objects. And she would give the children 5 minutes to look at it before anyone said a word. 5 minutes. For a child, that is a very long time. She said the first minute was always restless. The second minute, they started to actually see. By the fifth minute, the children were noticing things they would never have noticed in a passing glance. The grain of the stone, for example, the way that the shadow moved if you breathed on it, the rust on the nail that looked, if you got close enough, like a landscape. That teacher understood something most formal art education misses entirely. Looking is a skill, and like all skills, it has to be practiced. My name is Marilyn Mushakwe. I am a curator, researcher, and an art advisor based in Zimbabwe. I have been in love with art for as long as I can remember, and I have spent years working with art, thinking about it, writing about it, advising buyers and collectors, and sitting with it in galleries and in homes. And the one thing I keep coming back to is this: art should not feel like it belongs to someone else. Welcome to A Twist of Art, or rather a twist of thought, where we have conversations about art, what it means, who it is for, where it comes from, and why it matters to all of us. We see all day, from the moment we wake up to the moment that we close our eyes. Visual information floods through us. Our brain processes most of it without our conscious awareness, registering obstacles, reading faces, navigating space. Looking, on the other hand, is something different. Looking is directed attention. It is a choice to slow the flow of visual information and to spend time with one part of it, to stay. Most people have never been taught to look. Everyone has the capacity, but very little in modern life rewards it. Speed is rewarded. Efficiency is rewarded. The ability to process large amounts of visual information quickly, scrolling, scanning, moving on. That is what contemporary life has trained us for. Galleries were once spaces designed to slow this down. White walls, controlled light, silence. The architecture of the gallery is an architecture of looking. The problem is that most people arrive in a gallery having already been trained to move fast, and nobody at the door tells them that they are allowed to stop. I would like to describe an experience. Some years ago, I was at the National Gallery of Zimbabwe in Harare, and there was a painting I had walked past many, many times. I could have told you it was there. I could not have told you much about it. One afternoon, I had time to spare and I sat down in front of it. And not purposefully, actually, I just happened to sit there. After about 3 minutes, I noticed the background of the painting, which I had always registered as simply dark, was actually full of activity. Figures partially resolved, emerging from and dissolving back into a deep ochre ground. The longer I looked, the more appeared. I felt like the painting was being gradually revealed. It required my patience before it would show itself fully. That experience changed how I understood that work, and it changed how I understood looking. The painting had not changed. I had not changed, or rather I had changed. I had slowed down enough to receive it. The art critic and writer Peter Shejdol, I might be getting this wrong, described this quality, the quality of a work that rewards sustained attention as depth. Depth is not complexity, it is generosity. The work has more to give the longer you stay with it. There is a certain irony I want to name. Much of what is currently discussed as slow looking or contemplative practice in Western museum contexts is a rediscovery of ways of relating to objects that have existed in African and other non-Western traditions for a very long time. In many traditions on this continent, objects are not encountered in silence and detachment. I have spoken about this many a times. They are encountered in relationship. The looking is participatory. The object is understood as having presence, as being in conversation with the person observing it, a traditional healer reading objects, a family elder handling an heirloom, a community gathered around a ceremonial work. These are all forms of profound attentive looking. The attention is different in quality from the gallery gaze, but it is no less serious. In many ways, it is more serious because the stakes are understood to be real. When we bring the sensibility into a gallery, when we understand that looking at an object can be a form of relationship rather than a form of assessment, we access something that pure contemplation sometimes misses. The object is not passive, it is doing something. And looking well means being willing to be changed by what it does. Here's what I would like for you to try. The next time that you're in front of a work of art, in a gallery or in a home, anywhere, give it 10 minutes, an actual 10 minutes. The first 2 minutes will probably be restless. That is normal. Stay anyway. Around the 4th or the 5th minute, something will shift. Your eye will begin to move differently across the work. You will start to notice things that you did not notice in the first pass, a texture or a decision, a relationship between elements that was invisible at speed. By 10 minutes, you will be in a different kind of conversation with the work than you were at the beginning. And that is not magic. That is what looking actually does. Nobody, or very few, taught most of us this, but it is never too late to learn.